So in today's video we are going to take a close look at the fully modded Neo Geo AES, the ultimate arcade experience at home. So let's go. It's already some time ago that I picked up this Neo Geo AES, complete unboxed and fully loaded when it comes to modifications. A quantum leap forward in video entertainment, that is absolutely true, because Neo Geo is absolutely the most brutal thing you can buy when it comes to retro gaming, because this is real arcade hardware for gaming at home. A fully modded device with many different features. There was always one thing I wanted to check out here on the channel, and I finally managed to get one of them thanks to a fellow collector, because he modified it for me and made this thing extra wicked special. And there are so many great titles on Neo Geo, and I can tell you most of them are so freaking expensive now. But also in this video we're going to be doing some unboxing with this console, playing some games and chit chat about it, how we can also play cheap. When you're looking at the specifications, they don't sound really exciting anymore with all of the fast-paced, let's say, game systems coming out. You're looking at the character capacity, sprite size, number of sprites. Yeah, I can tell you that it was quite, let's say, a big thing back in the day. But let's do an unboxing together and just have this personal experience shared with you. So when it comes to Neo Geo, yeah, take consideration that all of these devices and games are just super expensive. And I paid quite a lot of money for this freaking thing, complete unboxed, where I didn't even want to have the box in the first place. I'm not really a box collector. However, it is just a fun thing to showcase also in the unboxing. But let's see what kind of cool things that he actually sold me. So in here we're finding the device itself, and man, the Neo Geo AES is absolutely a beast. Look how gigantic it is. It comes with some minor adjustments. First of all, one of the notable ones are the extra tulips at the back, because this thing does have a special cable, a high quality RGB cable, and even an LED that has been modified. Over here having the original arcade stick and the RGB cable. And the RGB cable itself, and this is one of those modified versions. So first of all, when you're looking at it, we have normal an audio jack that goes into front, but a modification has been done so we can just use everything at the back. It's a minor adjustment, but it's very convenient. Then the power supply, and to my surprise, one of the things I really was excited for once, that we're having a power supply that is not only 110 volts. Now this thing can even have the option for 120 all the way up to 240 volts. So that's kind of cool. So they have like a universal power supply, the original one from SNK. And of course, not last but not least, let's take a close look at the controller. Because the controller, this is one of those, let's say, I think it's going to be one of my favorite ones. And it has simply to do because the joystick is just a clicky joystick like it should be. And the form factor, you can just see it from this angle. And this thing is so freaking comfortable. I already owned an AES, but I swapped it out from something else because I wanted to have the Uni BIOS, and that is one of the many adjustments that he implemented in here. So it makes it absolutely awesome, because I just wanted to, like I have the cheating option I'm going to be showing you later on in the video, because this is just something, if you have played with it, you can't go back, or that's actually my opinion about it. I was also quite surprised over the overall quality. I can still remember my first AES I ever picked up had like this massive scratch in the middle of the console. That was such an annoying thing. At the bottom part we're finding a slider on and off switch, having two controller ports and the audio jack with a volume knob that we're not going to be using both of them. And what is kind of cool, that it even utilizes a memory card slot like the PlayStation 1 or PlayStation 2. But what I understand of that, when you're going to be using this memory card, you had like your save files that we can also use in the original arcade machines, or something like that. And at the back we're finding the audio jack I already shown you, and the original DIN cable that is an AV out, and the DC input over there. And last but not least, we're having over here the reset button, and this one has also been modified with an LED underneath. And I asked him to make it red because, of course, of my original logo. And I think like red looks just awesome. To give you an idea, let's turn on the system. And the LED looks absolutely great. So when it comes to translucent cases or an LED, you know, I can really appreciate tiny modifications like these. But how about the controllers itself? Original Neo Geo controllers, we do have a couple of tastes that we can get. So the left one over here already showing you is the original one of my favorite ones at the moment. But then we're having the controller, and the controller is super convenient with the original micro switch joystick. And I can tell you the first time you're going to be playing with this, it's going to be absolutely mind-blowing experience because it's so cool. However, the controller, the shape itself is very comfortable simply because of the round shape. And I can tell you that this is one of the controls I always grab if I want to play some games, or I want to play some games and don't want to use a big controller like the joystick at the left. And then of course we're having the second controller, the mini arcade stick, and this thing is actually for the Neo Geo CD version, what I understand of. So this is not my favorite controller because this thing does have different buttons and you have like a very long travel feel. This is not like a super bad controller, but this is just not my favorite anymore. So, and what is kind of cool that they're also doing modification on these things. Yep, I mean the original controller is going to be modified, the cracked ball top is going to be replaced by a good one, and then we're having over here the 4 buttons that will be replaced with, let's say, original tiny arcade buttons. So that's one of those joysticks I still want to own in a collection, and maybe in the future we're going to make a separate review about it. But Neo Geo games itself are absolutely massive. It's just ridiculous how big they are. But when you're looking at them, there are actually 2 versions out there. This is the original AES games, and they are compatible only with the game console. We're also having the MVS, and the MVSs are so much more cheaper. Where some of the games are so expensive if you want to have them complete for the AES, they're like so much cheaper to buy. However, you can only use it on the MVS of the original arcade board or a game system that have been modified with the original game board, and did some separate reviews about that too. So with the games, I already mentioned, they are quite expensive. So there are a handful of games like Samurai Spirits or Samurai Showdown, the first games, are affordable. However, when you're looking at this one over here, the Xeno Crisis, this is a re-release. I also have 2 kinds of boxes. So this is just a basic box that you can just fold open. And in here we're finding the cartridge itself. And they are like massive, even having 2 freaking layers. And then we're having the manual, and those manuals are freaking awesome. The manuals are absolutely beautiful quality with artwork that is just amazing, let's put it that way. However, this is not in English and this has to do with the region of the game. So basic explanations, and that's it. However, if you're getting, I'm guessing, the US version, we will have an English manual. And then of course we're having the, let's say, well, it's not reproduction, but this is actually going to be a new release for the Neo Geo. And the games are quite expensive, I can tell you that. They're like easily going to 200-300 euros or dollars, and that is a little bit of a downside. The cartridges are absolutely amazing quality. I know there are reproduction out there from China, but I don't know for sure if this is going to be a good idea to order those. However, even if you're going to be buying a cartridge only from China, yeah, the biggest problem so we're going to be finding is that these things are still very expensive, and we're not going to have a manual and all the goodies that you find with the original games. So another thing you need to be looking out for, if you're looking on eBay or on other places, sometimes you're going to be converting the MVS games into an AES version. That is another thing that happens. So meaning that you can buy a very cheap game. So what you're doing, getting a reproduction box from a certain game, think about a very expensive metal slug, and then you're going to be having like a reproduction box with a converted MVS to AES. They are still expensive, but they are so much cheaper, and that's another way to play when it comes to the games of Neo Geo. So with the memory cards, we do have some options over there. I did manage to get myself an original memory card, and they are affordable. But however, what you need to take consideration getting one is that these things need to be opened because the battery in the inside is completely dead. So this thing is just more like a fun thing to plug in, but just for the showcase itself. But thanks to AliExpress, we do have these memory cards, and you can see we're even having 2 different banks that we can use. And we can just switch it fairly easy by this tiny switch over here. There we go. Yeah. However, this is another option, and yeah, it's the same size. It doesn't look that fancy, of course, with a nice Neo Geo logo. But that's just another way to experience some Neo Geo. You can see this thing slides in fairly easy. And then of course having the one from AliExpress. A little bit of a resistance in the end, but besides that, it works like a charm. We have all those amazing games, but the problem is that some of them are just so expensive I cannot really afford those. So there are different ways actually to play with Neo Geo, and you can play cheap with the multi-game card from China. Yep, that is a multi-game card that contains a lot of cool games. But this is actually the cheapest way to play with the multi-game version number 3, 161 games, so it's quite a massive, let's say, lineup of games. However, the quality of the box is absolutely to cry for. But it's kind of cool that you do have the option to buy with or without unbox. Here we do have like a game list over here, and you can just see all kinds of Metal Slugs. The fake one, Metal Slug 6, is on here again. We do miss a one like the Sengoku 2, but there is a big or massive majority of the games are actually on the multi-game card. Quality wise of the cartridge, I can tell you that they keep improving it. I understand there are different logos or different kind of artwork of the sticker. I chose one with Terry from Fatal Fury. And in here you can just even see that they implemented the Ezeki made in logo, made in Japan. So that's absolutely naughty. That is something I personally never seen before when it comes to these reproduction cartridges. But the quality wise, what I understand of, they also implemented different changes on the PCB itself. But we're going to be making a full review of this cartridge separately. But a Uni BIOS 4.0 that comes in this version is, by the way, a very cool addition to the system. Simply because when you're pressing ABC and booting up the device, it will give you the beautiful menu with the golden Neo Geo logo. And here we're having the region setup, game, soft dip settings, game card, CRC check, jukebox player and the PC2 Neo. So many new features have now been implemented to my AES system. If you're going to be booting up the device itself and holding ABC button, we're having over here the Universal BIOS 4.0, and in here we're finding all kinds of cool options that we can swap out to. So first of all, what you can do is go into the region setup, and in here we can change out different regions and different kind of, let's say, modes. But take consideration, this needs to be saved throughout the memory card, so if you're going to be turning it on and off and you don't have a memory card, it will not remember which setting you have been setting it to. The game soft dip settings, the game card CRC check, jukebox mode and the PC2 Neo mode. So when it comes to the Uni BIOS, it also gives you many new options and makes this thing absolutely the ultimate machine when it comes to arcade Neo Geo playing. But getting into the game, pressing select and start will give you the cheat menu, and in the cheat menu we have all kinds of cool stuff like infinite time, enable red blood if you want to, and play one infinite energy. Pressing C, going back, and this is just a way how we can just easily play and implement some cheats. So where I normally don't really use cheats, I think it is a lot of fun. And of course start this game with some freaking cheating. How we're going to be doing implementing everything infinite time and infinite energy. Oh, I just want to do some testing, man. Oh yeah. But when it comes to Neo Geo playing on the CET, this is so much fun. Absolutely. These games never bore me. I still have the same amount of energy. And of course, let's try a little bit of gameplay of the Metal Slug, of course, one of my favorite games on the Neo Geo. This is actually just the game, or my main game, to play on these things. The graphical of this thing is so amazing. Let's be honest, they have been releasing these games or re-releasing every single time on, like, say, many different systems, on like PlayStation 2. And for me, this can be played over 10 years and later on. I can still also remember that they did these remasters where everything was looking kind of funky. However, I think it's absolutely amazing and just a timeless game. But the Neo Geo library is not for everyone. I think when it comes to certain games, think about shmups, but also when it's looking at beam up, there are so many cool games on the Neo Geo. And they also have been remastering all of these games, or at least like re-releasing on different collections. But still, it's so much fun to actually play these games on the original system. Moving through the catalog of many different games. Yeah, for me, shmups, that is one of the things I love to play. And we're having Viewpoint, Blaze Star, or Blazing Star Skulls. There are so many beautiful games that look amazing. So what we also can do, we'll see how many cheats we're having over here. Infinite lives, max power, max charge level, and invincible. Don't do that, it's a little bit too cheesy. Oh, there we go. Just automatically shoots everything. So one of the games I keep playing and coming back to is Bomberman. It's so much fun, man. We're not like the most amazing graphical games for the Neo Geo, because we can actually play it on many devices, including the Super NES, where they are just great as it is. However, it's just fun to have this in the collection itself. There we go. Didn't get him. So this is one of those games that I've played a lot when it comes to, let's say, arcades. I can still remember there was a karting center where we actually had this game, and it came with a steering wheel. But the first time you're going to be playing this, it's so freaking difficult. Ooh, there we go. But it's a lot of fun if you're going to get a hang of it. Oh yeah! The fake metal slug number 6. But do you know why I love this game? Not of the cheating cloud on top, but this game has such an amazing soundtrack. I just freaking love it. This game makes no sense whatsoever. And what is even more funny, if you're getting a power up. Let's see, can I jump off this freaking camel? No, I can't. But normally getting fat when you're grabbing and power up. This game is so funny. And I didn't notice there were even some cheats for it. So, but the cheats don't work. That's even more funnier. Because the cheats, yep, getting still fat. But I do have like unlimited ammo. But I can die, and it's kind of weird because I implemented that I have... Oh crap, no, I had a brain fart. Invincibility, let's see what happens. Oh yeah, now it works. Slow down! But when it comes to like Xeno Crisis, this game works plug and play. It's absolutely amazing. And somehow I keep buying this game on Steam, on my AES. But I think it's just a fun novelty to actually play the game on the AES itself. But there's one thing I find a little bit disappointing when it comes to this game. So you do have like only 4 buttons, and it's meaning that we have a different way of playing. We're having a controller configuration that we can use one joystick for actually moving around and the other one for shooting to a certain direction. Of course, it's possible because we don't have enough buttons. So it's something I really need to get used to, because I normally play this game completely different. But it does spoil the fun. It's just so cool to play these games on my AES. And I would be loving adding more games to my collection, where the original ones are like freaking they are so expensive. These games are still fun, and I love something new. Then there is only one thing to do, to rip and tear and see what we're going to be finding in the inside. I've bought it as is, and the guy modified it for me. However, I just wanted to see what is actually going on. So there's already one rubbery feet gone, so I'm going to be replacing them in the future. So let's remove this one too. And let's see if I have the right screwdriver. These things are very easy to open, only removing the screws, and we just flip it open. The old school days where it was super easy. Because I'm really curious how he made it. And let's be very gentle, because there is still one cable connected that we can't remove. So let's just flip it like that, and let's be very careful. But it is kind of interesting to see what is going on over here underneath of the hood of the Neo Geo. Over here we're having the replaced BIOS. So now we're having the version 4.0 over here. So far all the pens seem to be in nice condition. I had some problems with some games, somehow getting some errors. But so far all the pens seems to be in pristine condition. And if you're going to be buying a Neo Geo system or any system that has a lot of capacitors, you always need to be double checking if there is no problem whatsoever. Modifications has been done also with the LED underneath, and you can see it's quite in construction. You can see that it is quite an ingenious soldering situation. I'm not going to be touching it too much, but you can just see that he made it like this. I've bought this from a fellow collector, and yeah, he completely did an, let's say, overhaul when it comes to, let's say, the BIOS and everything else. And I did pay a premium price for this, but not only because of Neo Geo, but the quality itself. And in here we're not going to be removing the main board, but you can see the cables going underneath, and it has to do with the modification of the audio at the back. But everything looks pristine, and I'm very glad when it comes to the overall quality of the Neo Geo itself. And again, I always double check stuff like this if you're going to be paying a lot of money. Conclusion is, owning a Neo Geo is absolutely amazing. However, if you're going to be deep diving into this rabbit hole, you really need to have like for arcade and Neo Geo itself. I went for the Uni BIOS, something I was looking for a very long time. I went for a more expensive option and I wanted to have in particular like the Neo Geo modded by a fellow collector who I trust. Because if you're going to be buying and spending a lot of money on these devices, like I mentioned with the teardown, you need to be sure that everything has been done properly, otherwise you're going to be having problems in the future. I want to thank you all for watching, consider subscribing, hit the little bell, and it would be great to see you in the next video.